Family abandoned me, so I abandoned them back. I was 15 when I got pregnant, except it wasn't on purpose. You see, like every other 15-year-old girl, my boyfriend was toxic. Like, scream at you for interacting with a male teacher, then go through your phone toxic. So when he caught me going to the hospital to visit my godfather without telling him, he was determined to punish me. He told me the only way he'd let me get away with it was if I let him pop my cherry with no rubber. He said that would prove that I loved him, and I would have said no, but the anger in his eyes made me too scared of what would happen if I dared to refuse. So I said yes. Long story short, I got pregnant and never saw him again. I wish that was an exaggeration, but he blocked me on everything and transferred to a school across the country. I was so freaked out that I told my parents as soon as I found out. "We'll help you take care of it," was the first thing my mom said. Meanwhile, my dad just nodded quietly. I don't know why I believed them, but I did. And their words were the only reason I didn't get a baby unalive, because no one else wanted to come near me anymore. The entire school was calling me a W word, and they had spread rumors about me trying to baby trap my ex-boyfriend, so I dropped out. All I had was my parents and everything they gave me, until I gave birth. Because instead of coming home to baby Anna's nursery, I came home to all of my stuff packed up into bags. I swear I thought they were pranking me, but then my mom said, "We're not cleaning up the mess you made." I looked over to my dad, who stood there with his arms crossed. "But I thought you said," "We just said that so you wouldn't terminate the pregnancy, but now we're done with you. Consider yourself disowned." I fell to the floor crying while baby Anna wept in my arms. I had nowhere to go, and instead of helping me drive somewhere, they retreated to their bedrooms and locked the door. I was shattered. That was my rock bottom. I ended up getting an Uber to my Aunt Becky's house, and she took me in. As soon as she showed me the bedroom, I crawled right in and fell asleep. I was still in the post-pregnancy state, and life felt like it was doomed. I woke up the next morning at 4:30 a.m. to Becky shaking me awake. "If you're staying here, then you have to follow the rules," was all she said before handing me a sweeping brush. "You have to do your fair share of everything. 2 hours of house chores minimum. You have to cook me 5 dinners a week. Showers are 5 minutes long max. And most importantly, if your baby wakes me up more than once in a week, I will kick you out." Well, it was either Aunt Becky's house or the streets, so I just nodded, ready to accept my new life of modern-day slavery. The next few years of my life were as bad as you'd expect. Every time Anna cried at night, adrenaline would pump through my blood, and sometimes I even had to sit with her in the front garden during winter. And Aunt Becky abused me in every way possible, so much so that it reminded me of my ex-boyfriend, and I only had one lifeline. A job at a 24-hour diner where the manager, Rosa, let me bring Anna during night shifts. She'd sleep in the break room while I served coffee to truckers and studied for my GED between orders. The day Anna turned 4, I finally had enough saved. $1,200 and a promise of a studio apartment from Rosa's cousin. I packed our things while Becky was at work, not that there was much to pack. Anna's drawings, the teddy bear Rosa gave her, my GED certificate. That studio apartment was 400 square feet of heaven. On our first night, Anna and I ate McDonald's on the floor and she said, "Mama, can we be loud here?" When I nodded, she squealed at the top of her lungs, then looked at me with wonder when no one yelled at us. That's when they showed up. I was at a pickup, helping Anna carry her solar system project to the car, when I saw them, my parents, standing next to a Mercedes, looking like they'd stepped out of a catalog. My dad wore a suit that probably cost more than I made in 3 months. Suddenly my mother was walking toward us. "Hello, sweetheart," she said, but she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at Anna with tears in her eyes. "You must be Anna." I shoved
past them and practically ran to the car with Anna holding my hand. And the moment I saw them drive away too, I knew they'd be back. Parents who disown you for 7 years don't suddenly grow hearts. They grow strategies. Within a week, expensive toys appeared at Anna's school. Her teacher mentioned generous grandparents had paid for the entire class field trip. Other parents started looking at me differently, whispering about the teen mom whose wealthy parents were trying to help. The legal papers came 3 months later. Their lawyer had been building a case, documenting my night shifts, my studio apartment, my GED instead of a proper education. I stared at the custody petition in disbelief. They wanted Anna. After 7 years of nothing, they wanted my daughter. The custody evaluator showed up during my finals week. Of course she did. Anna had strep throat and was burning up with fever on the couch while I tried to study for my nursing exam between checking her temperature. The apartment looked like a disaster zone with tissues everywhere, medicine bottles on the counter, and my textbooks scattered across the floor. The evaluator, a woman named Ms. Chen, knocked 3 times before I could answer. I opened the door holding Anna's medicine in one hand and a thermometer in the other. She took one look at the chaos and started writing in her notebook. "I'm from Child Services," she said, showing her badge. "I need to conduct a home evaluation." Anna started crying from the couch, calling for me. I rushed over to comfort her while Ms. Chen walked around our tiny apartment, taking photos of everything. The dishes in the sink, the laundry basket overflowing, my study materials covering the kitchen table. "She's sick," I explained, trying to keep my voice steady. "I was about to take her to the doctor, but I have a final in 2 hours and—" "You're leaving a sick child alone for an exam?" Ms. Chen interrupted, pen moving across her clipboard. "No, I was going to call Rosa to watch her. She owns the diner where I work. Anna knows her really well," and more writing, more judging looks. Anna threw up right then, all over herself in the couch. I grabbed towels and started cleaning while Ms. Chen documented everything. The next 3 hours became a nightmare. I cleaned up Anna, gave her medicine, called my professor to explain I'd missed the exam, and answered Ms. Chen's endless questions. How many hours did I work? Who watched Anna during my night shifts? How was I managing school and parenting? Every answer seemed wrong. My parents' lawyer called the next day. 3 lawyers, actually. They worked at some fancy firm downtown and spoke to me like I was still 15 and stupid. "Our clients are concerned about Anna's welfare," the lead attorney, Mr. Morrison, said. "A young single mother, working nights, living in substandard housing. They simply want what's best for their granddaughter." Substandard? I looked around my apartment. It was small but clean, safe. Ours. 400 square feet is hardly adequate for a growing child. Our clients can provide Anna with her own bedroom, a backyard, the best schools. I hung up. The first court hearing happened 2 weeks later. I sat across from my parents for the first time in 7 years, watching them pretend to be loving grandparents. My mother wore pearls and dabbed at fake tears while describing how devastated they were to be kept from Anna. My public defender, an overworked woman named Janet, had met me 15 minutes before the hearing. She shuffled through papers while my parents' 3 lawyers presented photo after photo. Anna's school where they'd apparently been volunteering, the expensive playground they donated, the music program they funded. Your Honor, Mr. Morrison said, we're simply asking for temporary visitation rights while we assess the child's living situation. My clients have already demonstrated their commitment to Anna's education and well-being. The judge, an older man who kept checking his watch, granted supervised visitation. Every Saturday, 2 hours, at a court-approved facility. The first visit was horrible. I dressed Anna in her nicest outfit, the one Rosa bought her for picture day. My parents showed up with bags of toys, designer clothes, and enough candy to rot every tooth in her head. Look what Grandma brought you, my mother cooed, pulling out an American Girl doll that cost more than my weekly groceries. Doesn't she look just like you? Anna, sweet, trusting Anna, lit up at the attention. She'd never had grandparents before. Didn't understand why Mama's hands shook as I watched them play. After 3 visits, the manipulation started. Little comments Anna would repeat later. Grandma says her house has a pool. Grandpa said I could have my own pony if I lived there. Grandma asked if I get scared when you leave for work at night. I documented everything, but Janet barely glanced at my notes. She was handling 40 other cases, and mine wasn't special. Just another custody dispute. Then they started showing up at Anna's school. I found out from another parent who thought she was being helpful. Your mom is so sweet. She brought cupcakes for the whole class today, and your dad read during story time. Anna must be so happy to have them in her life now. The principal called me in the next week. We're concerned, she said, sliding a folder across her desk. Anna's been falling asleep during lessons. Her teacher notes she seems tired most mornings. She's always been a night owl, I explained. She has trouble falling asleep early, but she gets enough rest. Your mother mentioned you work nights. Is Anna home alone? No, never. Rosa watches her, or sometimes my neighbor, Mrs. Kim. I see. More notes, more judgment. Well, we'll be monitoring the situation. My parents had been documenting every school event I missed. Every time I was 5 minutes late for pickup because of class. Every bake sale I couldn't contribute to because groceries came first. 3 months in, Janet quit, just like that. A quick email saying she'd taken a job in private practice and someone new would be assigned. The new lawyer, fresh out of law school, looked terrified when we met. I've never actually done a custody case, he admitted, but I'll do my best. My parents' team filed for expanded visitation the next week. They presented my work schedule like evidence of neglect. Photos of Anna asleep at the diner during my shifts. Testimony from the school about her fatigue. A psychologist they'd hired who'd met Anna during visitation and diagnosed attachment concerns. The guardian ad litem assigned to represent Anna's interests seemed nice at first. Ms. Walker met us at the park, pushed Anna on the swings, asked gentle questions. But after visiting my parents' estate, her reports changed. The grandparents can provide significant advantages, she wrote. Private schooling, extracurricular opportunities, a stable 2-parent household. While the mother clearly loves Anna, love alone doesn't provide optimal circumstances. I found out later Ms. Walker and Mr. Morrison graduated from the same law school. Same year, probably friends. Everything spiraled faster after that. My parents filed motion after motion. Emergency hearings for every scraped knee, every missed dentist appointment, every time Anna mentioned being tired. They twisted everything into evidence of neglect. The breaking point came during midterms. I'd arranged for Mrs. Kim to pick up Anna from school while I took my pharmacology exam. But when I got out of class, my phone had 20 missed calls. Anna was gone. My parents had shown up at school with a court order saying it was their visitation day. The secretary, confused, let them take her. But it wasn't their day. They'd filed an emergency motion that morning claiming I'd violated the visitation agreement and gotten temporary custody for the weekend. I drove to their house in a panic, banging on the door, demanding Anna back. They called the police. The officers looked at the court papers, looked at me crying on their doorstep, and said there was nothing they could do. She's my daughter, I screamed. They can't just take her. Ma'am, you need to contact your lawyer, one officer said. This is a civil matter. I spent the weekend sick with worry. My baby lawyer filed motions but couldn't get a hearing until Monday. When I finally got Anna back, she was wearing a designer dress and kept asking when she could see the pony Grandpa promised. The next court hearing was brutal. My parents' lawyers presented my erratic behavior at their house, the panic that made me miss my exam, my inability to follow court orders. They asked for primary custody with me getting supervised visitation. That's when Aunt Becky testified. I hadn't seen her since I'd left her house. She walked in wearing her best dress, sworn in, and proceeded to destroy me. She couldn't handle the baby, Becky said. Cried all the time. I had to provide structure because she didn't know what she was doing. There were nights she'd sit outside in the cold with that screaming infant rather than properly soothe her. And you witnessed neglect? Mr. Morrison prompted. She was just too young. Still is. More focused on herself than that poor child. I wanted to scream that she'd forced me outside, that she'd threatened to kick us out if Anna cried, but Janet's replacement just sat there, overwhelmed, while Becky painted me as an incompetent child. Rosa testified the next day. Beautiful, fierce Rosa, who'd been more of a mother to me than anyone. She wore her nicest dress and spoke clear English despite her accent. That girl is the best mother I ever seen, she said firmly. She work hard, study hard, everything for Anna. That baby never want for nothing. But Mr. Morrison tore her apart, questioned her immigration status, her education, implied she was enabling child endangerment by letting Anna sleep at the diner. You're not a childcare professional, are you? He asked. No, but no teaching credentials? No child development training? I raised 4 kids. That's a no then? And you allowed a minor to work illegally in your establishment? She was 18 when, but she brought her infant to work before that? Rosa started crying, frustrated. You don't understand. She good mother, best mother. The judge looked unmoved. 2 weeks before the final hearing, Anna's teacher called me in again, this time with the school counselor present. Anna's been saying concerning things, the counselor said carefully, about rewards she'll get if she lives with her grandparents. Trips to Disney World, a pony, her own credit card when she's older. My heart jumped. Finally, someone else saw it. We'll need to file a report, the principal added. This could be considered bribery, manipulation. I waited for that report to show up in court filings. It never did. When I asked the principal, she seemed confused. We sent it to child services. They said they'd handle it. The final hearing was set for a Tuesday. My parents filed a reunification plan the week before. Anna would live with them during the week for educational stability. I'd get weekends if I maintained employment and suitable housing. It's the best we can hope for, my terrified lawyer said. They have so much evidence. Evidence they created, I shouted. They orchestrated all of this. But who would believe me? The young mother who'd been erratic and unstable versus the wealthy grandparents offering every advantage? The morning of the hearing, I dropped Anna at school like normal, kissed her goodbye, told her I loved her, tried not to cry when she asked if she'd see Grandma's pony soon. I was sitting in the courthouse bathroom trying not to throw up from nerves when Rosa burst in. Anna not in court? She asked, breathless. No, she's at school. Why would she? Come, now. I followed Rosa to the courtroom where Anna stood next to the bailiff, still in her school uniform, backpack on her shoulders. She looked so small, so brave. Your Honor, Rosa said. Anna, call me. Say she's scared. Don't want to go to grandparents' house after school like they told her, so I pick her up. The judge frowned. This child shouldn't be here. This is highly irregular. I want to talk. Anna's voice rang out clear and strong, 8 years old and fierce like her mama. Please, I need to tell you something. The courtroom froze. My parents' lawyers jumped up, objecting, but the judge held up his hand. Young lady, this isn't appropriate. They lied, Anna said quickly, before anyone could stop her. Grandma and Grandpa said if I lived with them, I'd get a pony and Disney trips and my own room with a TV, but only if I don't tell anyone they promised. They said Mama's too poor to take care of me right, but that's not true. Anna, my mother started, reaching for her. Anna stepped back. You said you'd buy me things if I said I was tired at school. You told me to tell my teacher I fall asleep because Mama works nights, but I don't. I just like reading under my blanket with my flashlight. The judge's expression changed. Did your grandparents tell you to say things that weren't true? Anna nodded, tears streaming. They said it would help me live in a big house, but I don't want a big house. I want my mama. We eat on the floor and she reads to me and helps with homework and she works hard to take care of me. They don't even know my favorite color or that I hate ponies because they smell weird. Your Honor, Mr. Morrison interrupted. The child is clearly coached. By who? Rosa demanded. I just pick her up 20 minutes ago. The judge called a recess. When we returned, he had a court child advocate with him who'd spoken to Anna privately. His face was stern as he addressed the courtroom. I've reviewed this case extensively, he began. What I see is a young mother who has worked tirelessly to provide for her child despite significant obstacles, and I see grandparents who have used their wealth and connections to manipulate the system. My mother gasped. Your Honor, we only want— I'm not finished. The court has discovered several concerning irregularities. The missing bribery report from the school, the connection between the guardian ad litem and your legal team. Most disturbing. We found records of you attempting to locate the biological father to strengthen your case. My blood ran cold. They'd tried to find him? The boy who'd assaulted me and vanished? This court's primary concern is Anna's well-being, the judge continued. She has a mother who loves her, provides for her, and has never wavered in her dedication, despite being abandoned by those who should have supported her. Custody remains with the mother. The grandparents are granted supervised visitation once monthly at a neutral location, pending review in 6 months. The gavel came down. It was over. My parents tried to approach us afterward, but their lawyers pulled them away. Within a month, they'd stopped requesting their visitation. 2 months later, Rosa heard they'd moved to their vacation home in Florida. Anna never asked about them. She was too busy being 8, losing teeth and gaining attitude, helping me study for nursing school finals while we ate Chinese takeout on our apartment floor. Still just the two of us. Still allowed to be as loud as we wanted. Mama, she said one night, looking up from her homework. Are you sad they're gone? I thought about it. About the parents who'd thrown me away. The grandparents who'd tried to steal her. All that money and power that meant nothing compared to this moment. No, baby, I said, pulling her close. I've got everything I need right here. She smiled and went back to her math problems. I went back to my pharmacology notes. Outside our tiny window, the world went on, but in our 400 square feet of heaven, we were perfect. Just the way we'd always been. The peace lasted exactly 3 weeks. I was washing dishes after dinner when my phone rang. Unknown number. Something in my gut twisted, but I answered anyway. Is this the mother of Anna Martinez? The voice was professional. Clipped. Yes. Who is this? This is Dr. McBenjamin from Child Protective Services. We've received a concerning report about your daughter's living situation. We need to schedule an immediate home visit. My hand started shaking. What report? From who? I'm not at liberty to discuss that. Are you available tomorrow at 2 p.m.? I had a clinical rotation at the hospital. Missing it would mean failing the semester. I have school. This is mandatory, Ms. Martinez. Failure to comply will be noted in our investigation. After hanging up, I called Rosa immediately. She came over with leftover pie from the diner and held me while I cried. They're not done, I sobbed. They'll never be done. We fight, Rosa said firmly, like we always do. The next day, I skipped my rotation and spent the morning cleaning our already spotless apartment. Dr. McBenjamin arrived precisely at 2 p.m., carrying a thick folder and wearing an expression that suggested she'd already made up her mind. She inspected everything, opened our refrigerator and frowned at the leftovers, measured Anna's sleeping area with an actual tape measure, photographed the single bathroom we shared, asked about my work schedule, my school schedule, who watched Anna, where she did homework. Your daughter shares your bed? She asked, pen poised. We have a trundle that pulls out. She has her own mattress, but not her own room. Lots of kids share rooms with their parents at 8 years old. More writing. And you work nights? Only 3 times a week now. I'm in nursing school, leaving your daughter with non-relatives. Rosa is family, I said firmly. She's been in Anna's life since birth. Dr. McBenjamin's expression didn't change. We'll be in touch. 2 days later, another call, this time from Anna's school. Ms. Martinez, this is Principal Mike Alexandra. I'm calling about Anna's attendance record. Her attendance? She hasn't missed a single day this year. Yes, well, we've been asked to provide documentation of tardiness. It seems Anna has been late 7 times this semester. 7 times. Traffic, a flat tire, the morning I'd had food poisoning and could barely drive. Each late arrival suddenly evidence of my inadequacy. Those were all under 10 minutes. Nevertheless, we're required to report patterns of concern. Also, Anna's emergency contact form only lists one additional person besides yourself, Rosa Garcia. She's authorized to pick Anna up, but no family members, no grandparents. I hung up. The letters started arriving the following week. Official-looking envelopes that made my stomach drop every time. First, a notice that my parents had filed a complaint with the Board of Nursing about my fitness to enter the healthcare profession given my unstable lifestyle. Then, a letter from their lawyers requesting mediation to revisit custody arrangements in light of new concerns. I was studying for midterms when Rosa called, crying. Immigration came to the diner, she sobbed. They say someone reported me. Say my work permit has discrepancies. I have to go to hearing. My blood turned to ice. When did you last renew it? 2 years ago. Everything was fine, but now they say there's problem with the paperwork from 2018. 2018, the year she'd hired me, the year she'd saved our lives. Rosa, I'm so sorry. Is not your fault, mija, but I maybe can't watch Anna for a while. Have to be careful. Without Rosa, my carefully balanced life started crumbling. Mrs. Kim could only help twice a week. I had to miss classes to pick up Anna. Failed a quiz because I couldn't find childcare for a study group. My clinical supervisor noted my lack of commitment when I left early because Anna's school called about a stomachache. Then came the meeting I'd been dreading. My nursing program advisor, Dr. Min, called me in. Your grades are slipping, she said gently, and you've missed several required hours. I'm having temporary childcare issues. I understand, but the program has standards. If you can't maintain them, she slid a paper across across the desk. This is a leave of absence form. Perhaps taking a semester off would help you stabilize things. I can't afford to stop. I'm so close. Better to take a break than fail out entirely. I left her office fighting tears. In the parking lot, I found a note on my windshield. Not a ticket. Worse. A business card for a private investigator with a handwritten message. Your parents hired me to document your daily activities. Thought you should know. Ben. At least someone had a conscience. The documented surveillance explained so much. How my parents knew about every late pickup, every rushed morning, every time Anna fell asleep doing homework at the diner. They'd been watching us for months, building their case. Anna started having nightmares. She'd wake up crying, asking if someone was going to take her away. I'd hold her tight and promise no one would separate us, but the words felt hollow when I wasn't sure I could keep them. The mediation meeting was scheduled for a Thursday. I wore my only professional outfit, the one I used for clinical rotations. My parents arrived with their usual army of lawyers. They looked refreshed, confident. My mother wore a new designer suit that probably cost more than I made in 6 months. We're simply concerned about our granddaughter's welfare, Mr. Morrison began. Living in poverty, mother struggling to maintain employment and education, no stable childcare. I'm not struggling, I interrupted. I'm in nursing school. I have a 3.4 GPA. Had, my mother corrected softly. We understand you're now on academic probation. How did they know that? I just gotten the letter yesterday. Temporary setback, like the eviction notice? My father spoke for the first time in years, sliding a paper across the table. I stared at it in shock. This is a mistake. I pay rent on time. Your landlord is selling the building. All tenants have 60 days to vacate. Where will you go, sweetheart? Another substandard apartment? A shelter? We'll figure it out. Or, my mother leaned forward, Anna could have stability. Her own room, the best schools, music lessons, art classes, everything a bright child deserves. She deserves her mother, I said firmly. A mother who can't provide basic necessities? Morrison pulled out more papers. CPS reports, school concerns, unstable housing, inadequate childcare. Because you sabotaged everything. The words exploded out of me. Rose's immigration issues? The CPS report? You're destroying my life to steal my daughter. Such paranoid accusations. My mother sighed. Really, darling, this victim mentality isn't healthy. We're trying to help. Like you helped when I was 15 and pregnant? When you threw me out? You were a child making adult choices. My father said coldly. We did what we thought best. You abandoned me. And look where your choices led. Still struggling, still unable to provide properly for Anna. The mediator, supposedly neutral, kept nodding along with their points. Another connection. Another person in their pocket. I left the meeting feeling defeated. 60 days to find new housing in a market where studio apartments cost twice what I paid. No Rosa for childcare. School hanging by a thread. Everything falling apart exactly as they'd planned. That night, Anna crawled into my bed despite having her own trundle. Mama, are we gonna be okay? I stroked her hair, breathing in her strawberry shampoo smell. Always, baby. We're always okay. Even if we have to move? Even then. Even if Grandma and Grandpa? Hey, I turned her face to mine. No one is taking you anywhere. You're stuck with me forever. Got it? She nodded, but I saw the worry in her eyes. 8 years old and already learning that love wasn't always enough. The next few weeks blurred together in a haze of apartment hunting, failed attempts to find childcare, and increasingly aggressive legal maneuvers. My parents filed for emergency custody hearings, submitted photos of Anna looking tired at school, statements from teachers about my erratic schedule. I found one apartment we could afford. The landlord took one look at my age, my single mother status, and suddenly remembered he had other applications to review. The second place wanted first, last, and a deposit equal to 3 months' rent. The third was above a bar, and I could already imagine the CPS report about exposing Anna to inappropriate environments. My clinical supervisor pulled me aside after I dozed off during a lecture. You need help, she said gently. This isn't sustainable. I just need to get through the semester. You're going to hurt someone, or yourself. Take the leave of absence. But I couldn't. Taking a break meant losing my financial aid, meant proving my parents right that I couldn't handle everything, meant giving them ammunition for their custody case. Rosa tried to help despite her own troubles. She connected me with her cousin who had a basement apartment. Cash only, no lease, but safe and clean. It would work until I found something better. The day before we had to move, Anna's teacher called. There's been an incident, she said carefully. Anna told another student her grandparents were trying to steal her. The child's parent is concerned about Anna's emotional state. She's telling the truth. I understand this is a difficult family situation, but perhaps Anna would benefit from speaking to our school counselor. Another report, another professional documenting our instability. Moving day came fast. I rented a small truck, and Rosa's nephews helped despite her warnings to stay away from me. Anna packed her things carefully, wrapping her drawings in her school folders to protect them. Will my new room be bigger? She asked hopefully. It'll be different, I said carefully, but still ours. The basement apartment was adequate. 1 bedroom instead of a studio, but the windows were small and high, the ceiling low. Anna tried to be brave, arranging her stuffed animals on the narrow bed. It's like a cave, she said, forcing brightness into her voice. A secret hideout. Exactly, I agreed, fighting tears. That night, lying on a mattress on the floor while Anna slept in the bedroom, I stared at the exposed pipes on the ceiling and wondered how long I could keep fighting. Every move they made pushed us further into the corner. Every victory of mine was temporary, quickly countered by their next attack. My phone buzzed. An email from the nursing program. My academic standing was under review. I had 2 weeks to submit a plan for completing missed clinical hours or face dismissal. 2 weeks, the same time frame as the next custody hearing. I thought about giving up. The thought crept in during the darkest part of the night, whispering seductively about how much easier Anna's life would be with money, stability, 2 parents even if they were cruel. She could have her own room, a yard, a pony if she wanted one despite hating them. But then I remembered her face when she'd stood up in court, 8 years old and braver than anyone I knew, fighting for us when I was too struck down to fight anymore. I wouldn't give up, not yet. The next morning brought new challenges. The basement apartment, while safe, wasn't on Anna's school bus route. I'd have to drive her every day, adding another hour to our morning routine. The hot water heater worked sporadically. The promised laundry access turned out to be a coin-operated machine 3 blocks away. But Anna adapted like she always did. She made a game of the cold showers, pretending we were explorers crossing frozen rivers. She did homework by the light of the desk lamp I'd salvaged from our old place, never complaining about the dimness. We're like characters in a book, she said one evening. The ones who have adventures and overcome obstacles. What kind of book? The kind with happy endings, she said firmly. Her faith broke my heart and strengthened my resolve simultaneously. The custody hearing approached like a storm system, dark and inevitable. I met with my new lawyer, a harried public defender who mixed up Anna's name twice in our first meeting. Look, I'll be honest, he said, shuffling through papers. They have resources we don't. The best strategy might be to negotiate. No, shared custody isn't the worst outcome. They threw me out when I was 15. They don't want Anna, they want to win, he sighed, Then we need something concrete. Proof of manipulation, evidence of their unfitness. How do I prove they're behind Rosa's immigration issues? Or the CPS reports? Or my landlord suddenly selling? You can't, he said simply. Not without resources we don't have. I left his office and drove to the hospital for my clinical rotation. 4 hours of pretending everything was fine while checking vitals and changing bedding. My supervisor watched me like a hawk, documenting every minor mistake. During my break, I sat in the hospital chapel, not praying exactly but seeking some kind of peace. An elderly woman sat beside me, clutching rosary beads. You look troubled, dear, she said softly. I'm about to lose everything, I heard myself say. Everything? I thought about it. My daughter, she's everything. The woman patted my hand. Then you haven't lost yet. That night, I found Anna writing in a notebook, tongue poking out in concentration. What are you working on? A letter, she said, to the judge, in case he forgot what I said. I read over her shoulder, my throat tightening at her careful handwriting. Dear Judge, my name is Anna and I am 8 years old. I wanted to tell you again that I love my mama and I want to stay with her. She reads to me every night and helps with homework and makes the best grilled cheese. She works hard to take care of me. Sometimes she's tired, but she never yells or gets mean. Grandma and Grandpa said they would buy me things, but I don't need things. I need my mama. Please don't take me away from her. Love, Anna. That's beautiful, baby, I managed. Will it help? Everything helps. I lied smoothly. The next morning brought another blow. A letter from the court appointing a new guardian ad litem. Ms. Walker had recused herself due to potential conflicts of interest. Probably my parents' lawyers realizing we'd discovered her connection to Morrison. The new guardian, Mr. McAlexandra, scheduled a home visit for that afternoon. No warning, no consideration for my work schedule. I called in sick to my clinical rotation, another mark against me. He arrived precisely on time, tall and stern-faced, carrying a briefcase that looked more expensive than my car. He examined our basement apartment with obvious distaste, taking photos of the small windows, the exposed pipes, the single bathroom. How long have you lived here? He asked. 2 weeks. We had to move when our landlord sold the building. And before that, a studio apartment for 4 years. So you've moved your daughter twice in her life? Once. And only because the basement seems quite dark. Does Anna get adequate sunlight? We go to the park every day. When you're not working or in school, every question felt like a trap. Every answer seemed wrong. He interviewed Anna separately while I waited in the kitchen, straining to hear. Her small voice carried through the thin door, earnest and sweet, talking about our bedtime stories and weekend pancakes. Do you ever feel scared? I heard him ask. Only when I think about not living with Mama, Anna replied clearly. When he left, he gave no indication of his thoughts, just another professional documenting our inadequacies. That night, I lay awake calculating impossible math. Rent, utilities, food, gas, childcare when I could find it. The numbers never added up to enough. My savings had dwindled to nothing. Credit cards maxed out. No family to turn to except Rosa, who was fighting her own battles. Anna must have sensed my despair because she crawled into my makeshift bed, curling against me like she had as a baby. Tell me a story, she whispered, about when I was little. So I did, about her first word, Kitty, even though we'd never had a cat. Her first steps in Rosa's diner, lurching between tables while truckers cheered. The night she'd had a fever and I'd walked her around the block for hours, singing off-key lullabies until she slept. Was it hard? She asked, being my mama when you were young? No, I said honestly. You made everything make sense. Even now? Especially now. She fell asleep with her hand in mine, trusting me to fix everything despite all evidence to the contrary. The next few days passed in a blur of impossible choices. Skip class to work extra shifts, miss work to attend mandatory court meetings. Every decision felt wrong, each path leading toward failure. My parents escalated their campaign. Photos appeared on social media, them at charity galas, volunteering at children's hospitals, the perfect grandparents being denied access to their grandchild. Comments poured in supporting them, condemning the selfish young mother keeping them from Anna. I didn't have social media anymore, couldn't afford the luxury of that kind of vulnerability. But well-meaning acquaintances made sure I knew what was being said. Maybe if you just let them see her more, a classmate suggested. Show you're reasonable, but I knew better. Every inch I gave would become a mile taken. Every compromise would be twisted into evidence of my inadequacy. The final custody hearing was set for Friday morning. Thursday night, I sat at our tiny kitchen table, surrounded by papers I couldn't make sense of, trying to prepare for questions I couldn't answer. How would I provide stable housing? I didn't know. How would I manage childcare? I didn't know. How would I finish school while working enough to support us? I didn't know. All I knew was that Anna was mine, and I was hers, and that had to count for something. Rosa came by despite her lawyer's warnings, bringing homemade soup and fierce encouragement. You fight, she said, gripping my hands. You fight like hell. That baby needs her mama. What if fighting isn't enough? Then you fight harder. After she left, I found Anna in her room packing her backpack. What are you doing, baby? Getting ready, she said matter-of-factly, in case I have to go with them tomorrow. My heart shattered. Anna, I'm taking my important stuff, the bear Rosa gave me, my drawings, the picture of us at the beach. She looked up at me with eyes too wise for 8 years. So I don't forget. You're not going anywhere, I said fiercely, pulling her into my arms. I promise. You can't promise that, she whispered into my shoulder. But it's okay. I know you tried. I held her while she cried, then tucked her into bed with extra stories and songs. When she finally slept, I sat on the floor beside her bed, watching her breathe, memorizing her face. Tomorrow would come too soon. The hearing that would decide everything. My parents with their money and connections and carefully documented case. Me with nothing but love and stubbornness and the word of an 8-year-old girl. It had to be enough. It had to be. Friday morning arrived with gray skies and drizzle. I dressed Anna in her court outfit, the same one from last time, now a bit tight in the shoulders. She ate her cereal quietly while I braided her hair with shaking hands. Remember what we talked about? I asked gently. You don't have to come to court today. Mrs. Kim can watch you. I want to come, Anna said firmly, just in case. The courthouse loomed ahead as we parked. My parents' Mercedes was already there, of course. Inside, my overwhelmed public defender was frantically shuffling papers while my parents' 3 lawyers sat calmly reviewing documents. We have a problem, my lawyer whispered when I sat down. They've submitted new evidence. Your missed clinical hours, the academic probation, and he slid a photo across the table. It was Anna at the diner last week, asleep in a booth at midnight. I'd had no choice. Mrs. Kim was sick, Rosa couldn't risk visibility, and I couldn't miss my shift. This looks bad, he muttered. The hearing began with my parents' lawyers painting their usual picture. Devoted grandparents, unstable young mother, a child caught in the middle who deserved better. Our clients have prepared a comprehensive plan, Mr. Morrison announced, distributing thick folders. Anna would attend Pemberton Academy, with tutoring, music lessons, and counseling to address the trauma of instability. Ms. Martinez would have supervised visits building to unsupervised weekends, contingent on maintaining employment and suitable housing. The judge, a different one this time, younger, sharper, reviewed the materials carefully. quickly. I see multiple CPS reports, school concerns, housing instability. Ms. Martinez, do you have stable housing? Yes, Your Honor. A one-bedroom basement apartment. For how long? 2 weeks, and before that, we were evicted when the building was sold. I see. And childcare? My throat tightened. It's been challenging. My primary caregiver is dealing with paperwork issues, immigration issues. Morrison corrected. Ms. Martinez has been leaving her daughter with an undocumented immigrant. Rosa has papers, I protested. They're just being questioned because someone reported. Regardless, the judge interrupted. You currently have no stable childcare? I'm working on it. And your education? I see you're on academic probation? Each question felt like another nail in my coffin. My parents sat there looking concerned and generous, occasionally whispering to their lawyers. My mother had even dabbed at her eyes a few times. Your Honor, Morrison stood again. We have one more piece of evidence. Security footage from Ms. Martinez's apartment building from last Tuesday. The laptop screen showed grainy footage of me carrying a sleeping Anna up the stairs at 2 a.m. I'd had to bring her to my shift when Mrs. Kim canceled last minute. This is a pattern of neglect, Morrison continued. A child needs stability, routine, proper sleep. I need my mama. Everyone turned. Anna had stood up in the gallery where she'd been sitting with Rosa, who'd arrived late, looking exhausted from her own legal battles. Young lady, please sit down, the judge said, not unkindly. No! Anna's voice cracked but stayed strong. You're not listening. They keep saying what I need but no one asks me. Anna, honey, my mother started, half rising. You're not my honey, Anna shot back. You threw my mama away when she was just a kid. Now you want me because I'm not a baby anymore? The judge held up a hand to stop the bailiff from intervening. Let her speak. Anna took a shaky breath. They told me if I lived with them, I'd get everything I wanted, but they don't even know what I want. They don't know I hate ponies because Sarah Chen's pony bit me. They don't know I'm scared of big pools because I almost drowned at camp. They don't know I like my small room because big spaces make me nervous at night. She turned to face my parents directly. You don't know me at all. You just want to win. Like when you won by making mama leave when she was 15 and scared and had a baby. You're mean people who pretend to be nice. That's enough, Morrison interjected. Clearly the child has been coached. I wasn't finished. Anna's hands were fisted at her sides. You said mama can't take care of me because we don't have money, but she takes care of me every day. She walks me to school even when she only slept 3 hours. She helps with homework even when she has her own. She makes soup when I'm sick and stays up all night with me. That's taking care of someone. Rosa stood up beside her. Your Honor, may I speak? The judge nodded slowly. I know I'm not supposed to be here, Rosa said, her accent thicker with emotion. I have my own problems with papers and lawyers, but I see this family every day for 8 years. This mama, she never give up. Never. Rich people, she gestured at my parents, they give up easy. Throw away pregnant daughter like garbage. Now want to buy granddaughter like toy. This is highly inappropriate, Morrison protested. What's inappropriate, the judge said quietly, is what I'm seeing in these files. She held up a stack of papers. Complaints to the Board of Nursing, reports to CPS, immigration inquiries, all filed within weeks of each other, all from anonymous sources. She looked directly at my parents. I find it curious that Ms. Martinez's life began falling apart precisely when you decided you wanted custody. Correlation isn't causation, Morrison said smoothly. No, but patterns are revealing. The judge pulled out another file. I had my clerk do some research. Did you know your law firm has made substantial donations to the campaign funds of 3 CPS board members? Morrison's face went carefully blank. That's public record, Your Honor. Completely legal. Legal? Yes. Ethical? The judge turned to me. Ms. Martinez, I have concerns about your current situation. However, I have greater concerns about what appears to be systematic manipulation of the legal system. She looked at Anna, who was still standing, chin raised despite tears on her cheeks. Young lady, you're very brave and very lucky to have a mother who clearly loves you. Please sit down now. Anna sat but kept her eyes on the judge. I'm ordering a full investigation into the timeline of these various complaints and reports, the judge continued. In the meantime, custody remains with Ms. Martinez. However, she raised a hand as I started to smile, there will be conditions. My heart sank. Monthly check-ins with a social worker, proof of stable childcare within 30 days, maintenance of your apartment, and enrollment in parenting classes. Your Honor, Morrison stood. Our clients are simply concerned. Your clients can be concerned from a distance. I'm granting them supervised visitation once per month if they choose to exercise it. And Mr. Morrison, if I find any evidence of continued harassment or manipulation of government agencies, I'll be referring this matter to the state bar. Are we clear? Morrison sat down without answering. Court is adjourned. The gavel came down with finality. I sat frozen for a moment, unable to believe it was over. Then Anna crashed into my arms, sobbing with relief. Rosa wrapped us both in a fierce hug, muttering prayers in Spanish. My parents stood to leave, but my mother hesitated. For a moment, our eyes met across the courtroom. I saw something flicker there. Regret? Shame? But then my father touched her elbow and they swept out with their lawyers. Outside the courthouse, Rosa squeezed my hand. You did it, mija. We did it, I corrected, then knelt to Anna's level. You were so brave in there, but you know you might see them at those visits, right? Anna shrugged. Maybe they'll learn to be better, or maybe they won't come. She paused. I hope they don't come. That night, we celebrated with pizza from the good place, the one that cost too much but had the garlic knots Anna loved. Our basement apartment felt less like a cave and more like a fortress we'd defended successfully. Mama, Anna said as I tucked her in. Are you mad I yelled at them? Never, I said fiercely. You stood up for us, for yourself. Rosa says I get my brave from you. I kissed her forehead. We get it from each other. The next morning brought reality. I still needed childcare, still had to fix my academic standing, still had bills to pay and classes to attend, but it felt manageable now, without the constant threat of losing Anna hanging over everything. Rosa's nephew Luis offered to help with pickup and drop off. His wife Maria ran a home daycare and could take Anna after school for less than I'd been paying. My clinical supervisor agreed to let me make up missed hours over winter break. The parenting classes were actually helpful, not because I needed to learn how to parent, 8 years of experience had taught me that, but because I met other young mothers there, fighting their own battles. We formed a support network, trading childcare and study sessions. My parents never showed up for their first supervised visit, or the second, or the third. The social worker stopped calling to confirm after month 4. By spring, I was back on track academically. Anna had adjusted to our new routine, though she still insisted on checking the locks twice before bed. Some wounds take time to heal. One evening, as I was reviewing dosage calculations, and Anna was building a fort out of couch cushions, she looked up suddenly. Mama, I'm glad they tried to take me. I nearly dropped my textbook. What? Not glad, but like, now I know for sure you'll never give me away. Even when it's hard, even when they tried to make you. I pulled her into my lap, my eyes burning. Never, baby. Not for all the money in the world. I know, she said simply, then wiggled free. Can you help me with my fort? It keeps falling down.